welcome to an undisclosed location here in the Bay Area. This is Ryan Banks coming at you with our all-new podcast, lining up some interesting stories from the world of music and art, literature, and that of the beyond. Today I have a special guest here with me, a former Bay Area resident and currently residing in Germany, artist known as Peepeehed. This is Mr. Glenn Schon. Welcome to the studio.
Hey, thank you, Ryan.
What's going on out here, man?
Man, not much. The weather is beautiful today. It's good to be here.
We're very happy to host you here on our first episode of this podcast. Wanted to dive into a little bit and talk about your art, also your career tattooing, and of course your new musical project that's currently based in Germany, Drywell.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll start by giving an introduction to people how we met. I'd say we've been friends for 10, 15 years now.
At least,
throughout this scene, and you've always been a figure in the Oakland and San Francisco Bay Area metal scene, punk scene, kind of a little jack of all.
I guess so. Yeah, I'd like to think I'm some kind of figure. Definitely a presence.
I guess a known guy out here. So when you were out here, where were the shops people might catch you at tattooing?
Well, I started my tattoo career like any self-respecting kid, just in my bedroom. So that was my first shop. Then I started working, I got my very first apprenticeship. I think it was in Pleasant Hill at a place called EMP.
EMP.
Yeah,
what age was that at that you started in the bedroom?
That was 18. I started
18 years old. So
yeah,
you waited till you were an actual adult.
I waited till I was an adult.
Very professional.
I would have been full with more band logos than I already have if I didn't. I got my first tattoo about a week after I turned 18 from a mutual friend of ours. I don't know if the listeners might have heard of RU36.
Wow.
But Aaron Johnson gave me my very first tattoo in his kitchen.
Very well-known band from out here, RU36.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rest in peace at the moment for them.
Yeah.
We hope to see their return one day. Aaron, if you're listening, Jason.
Rest in hiatus. We want to see you guys come back. I'm still waiting on RU37.
I think there might have been a track out there by now,
that's
I think,
what I've
at
heard.
one time.
That's what I've heard. But yeah, I started at EMP, and that was just like a real crazy, boring, long tattoo story. And I believe that shop's not there anymore. They were on Willow Pass Road, right under the BART tracks.
And Pleasant Hill, what kind of clientele were you getting in there?
That was like 1999. You know, that was the tattoo scene, so to speak,
was growing.
It was on the upswing. I think it was just coming out of the punk rock, kind of sailor hookers, like typical history, and kind of coming into the mainstream. At that point, it wasn't super mainstream yet. So we had like a lot of tribal. You know, we did a lot of the flash on the walls. People that are into the history of tattooing probably already know Huck Spalding. We had the Huck Spalding catalog, which I copied painstakingly from the postage stamp size flash sheets. With the grid system, no photocopier, that kind of crap. So it was mostly like bikers and whoever was kind of in the neighborhood, whoever's still getting tattooed at that time.
And the late 90s, Pleasant Hill tattoo scene.
Yeah.
So you moved in from there. When did you get out into Berkeley and Oakland?
Well, after I kind of quit / got fired from EMP, and scratched on my own for a little while. Scratching is like an amateur tattooing. Then I went and pursued an apprenticeship in San Francisco, and I knocked on all of the doors in San Francisco, and I was welcomed finally at Anubis Warpus. My teacher, David Bremer, who's now located in Chichester, England. The name of his shop I think it's Black Lotus or Black Pearl. Black Pearl is the name of the shop that he's at in Chichester right now. But I met up with him at Anubis Warpus, started my second and very real apprenticeship. From there, I went down to Santa Cruz, and we took over Graphics Pleasure, I think was the name of the shop. It was like a head shop, like a really shitty situation. But we did
tattooing the surfers of Santa Cruz.
Yeah, well, actually just tattooing the denizens of of Pacific Avenue right there. Yeah, so did that for like a year or so, and then after that, I due to some unfortunate circumstances, ended up moving to Gainesville, Florida, where I worked at Body Tech, the venerable Body Tech. I believe it's still there. For Wayne Lassard and Eric Carlson.
And that lands you about what year in Gainesville?
In Gainesville, so the year is hard to say. I'm pretty sure I moved out there in 2001 because I had just turned 21 and 9/11 had just happened. 9/11 happened when I was in Santa Cruz.
So 2001.
2001 and
move across the country.
Yeah, so the Disco Before the Breakdown 7-inch I think came out.
Wow.
Like right when I moved there, and I distinctly remember Reinventing Axl Rose being like
a new album.
Kind of the big deal. It was like the new album is like, hey, check out this band. You know,
and they're playing locally all the time.
They're playing locally. There. Tom works at the top. You know, so I guess that would have been that era. You know,
so there was some excitement in Gainesville, at least musically.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there still is. It's actually very similar mirror almost to the Bay Area. You know, it's a little bit more of a university town, but I mean, really rich.
Very well known for their fest every year now.
Yeah,
in Gainesville.
You know,
it must have been a little bit after your time there.
Got
started.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other night, and somebody asked me if I'd ever been to the fest. I had never been to the fest, but it used to be called the Gainesville Hardcore and Punk Fest, and I mean, I went to that for 2 years, and I saw Madball headlined. You know, so it was that kind of thing. It was like Shai Hulud,
and this is at just
Madball.
A club, or this is outdoors?
It was at a crazy place. I think now it's called like the Florida State Theater or some shit. I can't remember what it was called at the time, but it was one of these like big, like crazy, like yuppie bars. You know, it was like almost like it was like an old movie theater, and they turned it into, and they had like bands and stuff, and they just so happened because the fest was so big, the Hardcore Fest or whatever, that they did it there, and it was just a nightmare. I saw Converge play there, and they didn't make it through, I think, 4 songs
at the punk festival.
Yeah, before their bass player like clocked somebody over the head. Like there was blood everywhere, people running, dropping off the ceiling. It was fucking
And then that spun in somewhere or tied in and became the fest.
I believe they kind of switched that to the fest. I'm not sure if it's even the same promoter. I really have to admit I don't know the history of the whole thing.
So that's early 2000s in Gainesville.
Yeah.
You end up out there for a few years.
Yeah, I was there for about 2.5 years.
And then you come back out here to the Bay Area.
Yeah, and then I moved back home. You know, I had left behind my band when I had moved back out there after their relocation to Santa Cruz, the Drag. We had recorded like kind of a pretty good record before I moved out, and then, you know, all of my friends I had just missed so much. You know, going from being a Bay Area resident to being in the middle of Florida was kind of a shock. So yeah, I got back out here, started playing some music right away. I hit the ground running with Hollowhead.
Oh yes, very well known metal band out here in Oakland scene.
Yeah, in the Oakland
for about 4 or 5
Oakley
years. I think you
scene
guys
as well.
rolled. Yeah, sure. Far East County scene as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
At one time. So going from town to town as you traveled, was it hard to land new clientele at each shop, or was it built in at these shops? Did you have to go out and get your name known in each town?
You know, as far as tattooing goes, you know, I would like to say that it's really sacred or something like that, but I think that there is like a built-in clientele kind of everywhere you go. I was trained in a street shop kind of environment. I'm a good all-arounder. You know, I try to do the very best tattoo that I can, but I'm not putting on crazy, I don't know, magazine work where you're flying from Japan to get tattooed or some shit. You know what I mean? So there's like about a year buffer with everywhere that you move before you start getting the people coming in and asking for you by name.
And having a whole lot of comebacks at that point.
Yeah, actually, like the most success that I've had and the happiest I've ever been is, you know, in the instances when I moved back to the Bay Area and my clientele was built into my friend scene, through the music scene, through all my friends, through growing up here. You know, that's when I've done my most satisfying work. You know?
Sure, I think that's maybe...
We've got a special guest.
Special guest here on the back microphones.
Cheeto.
We'll be back here in just a moment to speak a little bit more about Glenn's tattooing, coming back into the Bay Area. Also a lot of work he did doing concert posters for many different punk bands and metal bands here in the scene. And then we're going to get into talking about his new band coming up, Drywell. It's currently kind of a one-man project.
Yeah.
Going to take on some big things with their coming EP. We'll be right back to speak more with Glenn.
Lately I've been thinking, not about what you said, but what you did. If you're behind it, you decide. I'll survive. I've been spending time looking out instead of in. Gotta keep reminding myself, beginnings end. And I'm walking through the alleys in the morning, and I'm trying to do some thinking. I gotta know this time for sure. Tell me why I'm feeling pressured. Tell me why you feel alright, but still I don't. I call myself believe.
So we're back here now with Glenn, speaking a little bit more about his life in Hollowhead in the Oakland metal scene, and also the shops that he ended up working at tattooing once he made his ventures back from Gainesville. So Hollowhead, pretty brutal metal band, I guess.
Yeah, you can definitely say that. Yeah,
a band I caught from the backyard out in the deep east all the way to some of the nightclubs in Oakland and San Francisco.
yeah.
What were the bands you were playing with at that time? What year were we in?
Oh, geez, I want to say that was probably maybe 2000. I mean, if I was in Gainesville for 2.5 years, it'd be 2003, 2004, I believe. I guess for the East Bay people listening, it was just after the Potato Barge or Wallace Arms, I think, the Potato Barge had just turned to Wallace Arms and they were having shows. I guess that's the best, the kind of lamppost that I can give for that. But yeah, I moved back to California. I hit the ground running with Hollowhead right away. My best friend, Brian Lucchese, also played in Bloodshot and Dilated, and now plays for Blackwater Birth, I believe is the name of the new band.
Yeah,
definitely worth checking out. They have a Bandcamp, blackwaterbirth.bandcamp.com.
Got some new music brewing from what I've been told.
Oh, and it's killer. Yeah. It's grinding as fuck, man. It's really, really good. But yeah, we did the Hollowhead thing. I lived with Brian at his house in Oakley. Actually, we built a tattoo studio there on the tattoo thing. Did a bunch of work out of there, and then I ended up moving back to San Francisco. And during that time is when I worked at Picture Machine Tattoo, and we played in Hollowhead. We were playing with all kinds of fucking bands. I mean, we played with Savage Machine was another real big.
Great band from out here.
Yeah, another East County band that was real big in the scene. RU36, I think we did a couple shows with them also. Then in the San Francisco area, we played with 100 Sons. And big shout outs to all of those people. Love you all still. And those,
still going.
The 100 Sons has since disbanded, but I'm still actually real tight with about half of them. So that's killer. And I'm actually still in a current project, Man Among Wolves, with Andre and Akile from that project. That was a really fun time.
It's a lot of great connections made at that time.
Yeah, made at that time. That was kind of when I also I started taking the flyer drawing more seriously, and I had gotten a couple of little contracts with like promoters, where they would hit me up, and I was drawing flyers on demand for them, doing a lot more comic books. And
yeah, so for those that may not be familiar with a lot of your art, they may have seen it and unknowingly seen it on many Bay Area flyers over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Yeah, flyers, posters, T-shirts, stickers.
And if they'd like to see some of that, they can go to your blog.
Yeah, my blog.
Peepeehed.
Peepeehed. That's Peepeehed. Very much like Hollowhead. Leave that A out of there. You don't need no fucking A in head. Yeah, peepeehed.blogspot.com.
And then they can also find your web store at
my web store. There's a link to the web store in the context section on the blogspot. But other than that, it's a Big Cartel store, and that's also peepeehed.bigcartel.com. And then I've got an Instagram, of course. You can find me or add me on there. It's Empty Bottles of Ink. Is my handle on the old IG.
See just a ton of excellent work that he's put out over the years. A lot of good stuff. A lot of flyers that we've seen through bands that I've played in, through a lot of our friends' bands out here. And the flyer thing, I mean, a lot of times it seems like we're trying to get a good flyer. You get the crappy one put together on MS Paint or
right.
And then when we finally dug into you and started having you do some work for us, it was just a new level of work, but also so reasonably priced at what you subletted that work to us for. I really must thank you on that.
Sure.
It was just great. And I wish there was more artists doing the traditional flyers.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things, like those flyers have been called old school by a lot of people that have seen them. But I was just one of those kids. I guess we're called the fortunate ones now, right? Our generation that's not millennial, not Generation X. But I came up and I thought those flyers on paint looked like shit. And once you're playing for your own bands and you can draw, I started doing my own flyers. Other people are asking, and it's always really been like a labor of love. I love to give back to the community that has helped me so much. In my life, it's really great to kind of put that out there and to enrich that, hopefully catch some more eyes, catch some younger eyes, get some people into the scene that might not normally.
Yeah, they might be so sick of seeing that same generated Photoshop flyer.
Yeah, seeing that same fucking thing. All the metal bands in the area using the Arial black font. Like their Man is the Bastard or something, and then all the and everybody else basically making memes for flyers.
Yeah, for flyers to try and coax these people into shows. And I feel like a lot of these flyers that you've drawn up over the time they've become wall art amongst all my friends. They end up making those shows last the test of time a whole lot longer.
Absolutely, and the aesthetic I've noticed carries on as well, and I'm sure that's like most professional artists' kind of nightmare in the flesh or made flesh. But I've actually been really proud to see like a lot of my flyers for bands that I don't necessarily even know. I've run into a lot of bands that have like lifted their logos off the flyer, and to me that's a really big compliment. You'll see.
Yeah, to seem to continue the
Yes.
use off the flyer font.
Exactly. They're like, hey, fuck, well, we've been around for 10 years, but we love that logo, and then
That's now the logo of the band.
Exactly. You take it, you see it on a website, you see it on a t-shirt, and that's kind of the shit for me. Like, I think that's really great. That's kind of the contribution that I like to make to our scene.
Yeah, and it just really seems to last and have a much more lasting effect than a lot of the web promotion that goes on.
Exactly. I mean, you can't hang a Facebook event on your wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to get a whole lot.
Not even if it has 100 guests?
No. That's not going to bring you a whole lot of warm fuzzies, I mean,
Yeah.
we've all met people that we've fallen in love with and, fallen out with, and all the memories that are associated with the live music and the punk rock scene. It's really nice to have those little memories to hang somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
So, big fan of all your art out here, especially when it comes to the band flyers. But you've also done a lot of artwork for bands for record covers.
Yeah. I have done a lot of record covers. One of the ones that I did last year is actually is really now getting a lot of play. It's for my friends in Void Omnia. They're a black metal band from Oakland. And they are on Bandcamp as well, voidomnia.bandcamp.com.
They've got a new record out, right?
They've got a brand new record out. I believe it came out in September. I could be getting this wrong, guys. I'm sorry. But they just got signed to Vendetta Records out of Berlin, Germany. And Vendetta is going to be releasing the CD and LP release. I believe the LP comes out in November. They had the tape release about a month and a half ago, and they're going to go out on tour in December, and it's looking like
all of next year,
and
right?
most of next year. It looks like 2017 is going to be a good year for them. But
So,
yeah, I did their cover, and it's received just a ton of love. I mean,
that's Void Omnia.
yeah,
Very good to hear that they're doing well. Kind of cool to see the friends from Oakland using your art. You've been out in Germany the last 2 years and now getting signed to a German record label.
yeah, and seeing that kind of
Now,
stuff.
did you have anything to do with that?
No, that's really just kind of
Their hard work. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
that's just their hard work. That's just them being badass, and I would like to think a little bit of pretty packaging
Yeah.
helped get them there. But no, they got the offer from the fella at Vendetta, and Vendetta's actually working with a couple of local bands out here. They just put out the new Negative Standards.
Okay, so they've got a lot of ties to this scene.
Yeah, so there's a pretty good tie, I think, to the West Coast metal and like crust scene out here.
And then any other album covers recently in the last year or two that you've done?
Gosh, I've done
Another was Drunk Dial.
Yeah, I've done some work for Drunk Dial, who was Oog Nasty before that. I did a couple of covers for Your Enemy, who is also out of Oakland. Some really, really great guys. Your Enemy is still playing. They got a Bandcamp. Greg runs Enemy Records. Yeah, gosh, I did their cover. Did the cover for another band that I was in, Hostage, Hostage X. I did something for the now defunct but still great Ten-Sack.
Wow, yeah, great band.
Yeah, did their Greatest Hits Volume 2.
And recently you did some artwork for Twin Screw Steamer.
And for
for Twin
out of
Oakland.
Yeah, for Twin Screw Steamer, I'm actually wearing the shirt. There's no camera here, but you can see that. And of course, I've helped you guys as well with Civil War Us. We did the comps for was that Death to False Hope Records. We did the spring compilation. I also did the
compilation
cover for the Good
magazine
Book
back when.
Yeah.
And all that art, the Good Book. Yep, you'll see all that art. That's all Glenn.
Yeah.
So to get to Germany and to get to you there now, we do have a little bit more story of your tattooing.
Okay.
So you're in San Francisco. You then moved to Oakland to another shop there.
Yeah, so I was tattooing in San Francisco. Stopped tattooing in a shop. Went
That's
back.
in the Haight.
I was living in the Haight.
Okay.
The shop that I was working at was in the Richmond Picture Machine Tattoo. That was
Okay.
an honor to work there. Also an honor to be fired from there. That was a good time. But after that, I was just kind of like, well, fuck it. I just want to focus on music, tattoo my friends.
Back to bedroom tattoos.
Yeah, back to bedroom tattoos. I actually had a really nice little home studio. You've been to that one, I believe. I think Lizette got a couple things from there, way in the back of the house. But that was a beautiful house, beautiful little tattoo studio. And then on kind of on a favor, I started working at Sacred Tattoo, which was grounded. You want to talk about some East Bay punk rock history or whatever. That was grounded by Ernie Cortez and Chris Hauer from Powerhouse. the old hardcore band. I'm sure the listeners have heard them, but that's always been an honor to work
And every
there.
band in town's been in there.
It has been tattooed there, and yeah, it was like the cornerstone of a pretty infamous scene for a while, and it's always been an honor to work with those people, and those people I'm very lucky to be able to call my family today. Everybody there is amazing.
Yeah, great history in that scene in Oakland.
Yeah. And then in that point in time, me and my girlfriend, like we got kind of kicked out of our place. Like the lease ran out, and our master tenant actually went on tour with his band like around the world. They were called Sleepy Sun. Hello, Jack, if you're listening. And then I ended up moving up to Fort Bragg, and that's kind of in a roundabout way the story about how I got out to Germany.
So Fort Bragg, you end up at the tattoo shop there, and that's also a museum.
That is a museum.
So you've got a lot of great traditional work.
Amazing. Yeah, they've got it's a museum. It's run by Mr. G and Madame Chinchilla, both I think tattooers for at least 30 years at this point. They were taught by Bert Rodriguez in Santa Rosa. And they've had that shop for, like I said, probably about 25, 30 years up there on the coast. And they've amassed a huge collection. They're both published historians, and they've done a lot for the tattoo community in preserving history. They're one of a kind of like triangle of killer people.
Just
and
a
it's
cornerstone
a cornerstone of tattoo history and the heritage and everything. Wow. So that was another again like an honor to work there. I don't choose that word lightly. It was really, really fucking cool to work there. But that's how I kind of came into contact with my current coworker, Bernd Seiken, who is a German fellow. We met up there.
And his shop in Germany
is Top Notch Tattoo.
Top Notch Tattoo.
Yeah. We're both kind of running that. He's the captain of the ship right now. The other captain is on a world tour right now for the last 2.5 years, Heiko Gantenberg. And if anybody's listening, he's chronicled his 2.5-year world tour adventure under the name Notch the World. He's going around the world on his motorcycle, and he's tattooing his way around the world. It's been pretty cool. He's only taken boats, no planes or anything like that.
Wow.
Worked on container ships. He's been through Iraq, Iran, Australia, New Zealand.
And doing great work all over through all that.
Yeah, and so he's coming
back.
That
should make for a great story.
Yeah. I would imagine. I believe he wants to write a book. It wouldn't surprise me if he made a movie about the whole thing.
Yeah, it should come out really good. Possibly a documentary coming out on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he plans to continue that, huh?
Well, his tour is up in December. I believe he's going to be back in Marl in Germany. I think December 15th was the date that I was given.
So you get the invite from them to come out to Germany.
Yeah, I got
check out their shop.
Yeah, I got the invite to come out. They had a 25 anniversary birthday party for the shop / kind of goodbye party for Heiko before he split. And yeah, I went out there for 3 months, did a little bit of work, and hung out. Finally got to see where one of my best friends was from. Got to live with him and everything. And yeah, Germany's a fantastic place.
So with him leaving on the 2.5-year tour, that kind of ends you right up in the shop, taking over some of his work. And
basically, that's kind of what happened. Yeah, he took off. There was only 2 of them working there at the time, and then 2 minus 1 is just 1. It's kind of an out of the way little town. So my friend had a lot of trouble getting help to come out, and circumstances had lined up perfectly. I had just given up my lease on my house back here. My girlfriend of forever long had broken up with me, and I just kind of had nothing really to come back to. Again, not in a tragic way or anything. It was just kind of an open clean slate.
Let caution to the wind.
Let caution to the wind, and fucking learn German and move out there. And I'm
when you first go out to Germany 2 years ago, is the plan to become a permanent resident at that time?
Honestly, it's still I feel terrible.
Or has that choice been made yet?
that choice has not been made yet. It's like talking to my mother. What are you going to do with your life? I still have no idea. But as it stands currently, I have an artist visa, and I am a legal resident of Germany. I'm not a citizen. I'm not sure about attaining citizenship or anything. The social systems out there are great, but we're gonna just have to see where this.
And going over there 2 years ago, knowing not much more than your numbers and the alphabet, you became fluent in German in less than 2 years.
In less than 2 years, yeah. Now I'm at a fluent level. I'm not sure if I'm quite native speaker. The last time I took a test,
sure.
I was level B2, B2.5, which is actually pretty high. That was a hell of a thing. I went out there, knowing numbers, colors, and Danke and Bitte and beer.
That was it, yeah. Another beer, please.
Yeah, but I took the baptism by fire. Anybody out there that's listening, you want to learn a foreign language, it's all about just doing it. Don't be afraid
just engulf in it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take the step. Watch the movies, read the books, read comics. Even if you don't understand a word of it, it'll come to you. If anybody's seen 13th Warrior, they can, that's exactly what happens. That scene where they're sitting around the campfire and all of a sudden everything kind of starts
Everyone
to click
catches
into
on.
place. That's exactly how that happens.
Well, we're going to dive a little bit into the German music scene and also speak on Drywell and their upcoming EP coming out hopefully next year. That'll be in our next moment. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
Well, things have been a little complicated. Quality life has got me down. Well, sex is cheap and talk is overrated. And the boys and me still working on the sound. Well, a little happiness, a little love was all I wanted. Sure as hell thought I'd found it, but I was wrong. She left my heart feeling taunted, and my memories all haunted. But it's her I have to thank all my songs. So every day I'm smoking my brain hazy, all I can do to keep from going crazy. But the paranoia slowly creeping in. Oh, and I keep drinking myself silly on the way for this hellbilly. And I thank God for this here life of sin. Look in the mirror and despise the sight of everything, all that I've become. Level up my medication, some might find intimidating, but that's alright, it don't bother me none. Things have been a little complicated. Life hasn't got me down. Well, the sex is cheap and the talk is overrated. And the boys and me still working on the sound.
All right, folks, we're back here with Glenn Schon, also known as Peepeehed, currently working at Top Notch Tattoo in Germany. And we were going to talk a little bit about the German music scene. So are you currently playing live in Drywell in Germany now?
At this moment, no, because I'm sitting in California.
Not at this moment.
Not at this moment, lazy folk artists. Drywell is... I started in California, and I've been playing, here and there in Germany. Off and on. The last show that I played was in not September. Beginning of August.
Now, was there some touring this year?
Yeah, we did a couple little mini tours, a couple little jags. They both went through the Netherlands, through Holland. That seems to be kind of a better audience, I think, for the music that I'm making, mostly because of the language barrier, I would assume, because I sing in English.
So the English goes over better in Holland.
I think so, in Holland. And there's also, a lot of the places that we played have been really liberal communities, mostly squats and stuff like that, or community kitchens and stuff. So there's a lot of university people there, a lot of really liberal, open-minded people, which you don't. There has to be that in Germany as well, but just maybe not. It hasn't been made privy to me.
Sure.
In the volume
stumbled upon it.
Yeah, in the volume that you can see in the Netherlands. It's a really special country.
So touring with Drywell, that usually consists of you. Is there any other musicians?
I was playing with another very, very talented musician. His name's Christian Höflich, and he played guitar and did some singing, and he's kind of a multi-instrumentalist as well. He did some percussion and stuff. He was in the band for about 9 months. He quit on me, unfortunately, about 2 months ago. The show before the last show that I played. But yeah, we were doing the 2-piece thing. We recorded a four song EP. That I actually tracked myself. That's up on our Bandcamp at drywell.bandcamp.com. It's also on YouTube. The name of the record is Lie Down Evil. If you want to give it a listen, it's a really, really good little platter. But now I'm kind of pushing forward on my own, just as a solo project. and I'm going to be using the wintertime to do some recording.
The plan is to come in together with a new EP.
Exactly.
Featuring possibly some other musicians, some broader arrangements.
Definitely. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to get at, is some more broader arrangements. I myself am also a multi-instrumentalist, without sounding pretentious or anything like that. I play a bunch of shit.
May as well include it. Right?
Yeah. And the whole thing with the acoustic stuff is like the scope of what you can do and tweak and experiment on is pretty wide. And
as long as the songs are there, as long as you can break it down on whether it be the banjo or the acoustic guitar, it's going to come across live.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of my intention for this last little piece of the year. I want to set out and arrange these songs, I think, in December. And like I said before, I know a couple people out there that play brass or wind instruments. I know a very talented violin player, so it'd be interesting to incorporate those people kind of into that scene, into that project. When
traveling with Drywell, the bands you're playing with, are they similar? Are they single acoustic musicians? Are you playing with full bands?
A lot of the time, I mean, we've actually played with we've played with punk bands, we've played with Balkan bands, we've played with other kind of punky acoustic musicians who are playing either solo or as a duo. We've played with a feminist hip hop, like a French feminist anarchist hip hop band.
Now, is there you were mentioning a lot of hip hop going on inside of the punk community
in Germany? Yeah, it's really cool. That's one of the benefits of having learned the German language, is it's really opened me up to a lot of stuff. As a fan of hip hop in the States here, and mostly, I mean, more conscious stuff. I like some ignorant stuff as well.
Sure, but you're talking some aggressive anarcho type.
Hip hop. Yeah. You got these bands over there, and they're rapping about squatting houses and women's liberation and equal rights and trans communities and everything. And it's a really, really cool scene. One of my favorite bands, they're actually playing in Essen right after I get back. They're called Neon Schwarz, and they're just a killer band, like really, really up that same line. Like really positive kind of beats and sound, but really gnarly, like good political, like positive message in their lyrics.
Good message, little brash with the delivery sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Like real smart-assed and, real still punks. I don't know. It's really, really neat.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a really cool scene. I would love to get into some more of that music. And I definitely will be checking those bands out.
Yeah.
So other than the tattooing, how are you currently sustaining life in Germany?
Other than tattooing, I'm continuing to do art jobs. So if anybody's listening here that is interested, they like my work, please feel free to hit me up, send me an email. We can definitely get something going. It's mostly been, at this point, a lot of album covers, flyers, and the band jobs. I'm also starting to work art markets, so kind of it'd be like a flea market or something like that, but with art. You kind of sit down and you show.
Selling your own pieces.
Yeah, it's almost like a craft fair, I guess, where you're selling your own pieces. And I'm also making a lot of money from, or not a lot of money, but
you're selling on a stack.
Yeah, like a slice of my income also comes from my web store. I focus a lot on lino printing, which is like a relief seriography. So I've been selling a lot of prints and stuff like that.
Tons of beautiful work up on your site right now.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm really excited about this new phase of what I've got going on. So it's mostly been prints and then originals. I've been really starting to get back into learning like acrylic painting. The Dying Light cover that I referenced earlier from Void Omnia is definitely a step in the direction that I'm running in at this moment.
So you found a way to do it, to live off strictly your art.
Yeah.
And to move across the world. And so currently you're in Germany, no plans to come back to the U.S. at the moment. You're pretty well established there with work, with music. So I guess what we can look forward to is hearing this new Drywell record coming out maybe early next year.
Absolutely.
And if anybody wants to check you out, they can go ahead and do that at the Peepeehed sites. They can find you on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course see your web store. Big Cartel hosts that. Correct?
That is a Big Cartel store, yeah.
So that would be it today with Mr. Glenn. Is there any last things you'd like to speak about?
God, no. It's just been really great to be on here as a guest. It's been really great to see you and been able to visit everybody here. And everybody out there, whatever you're doing, do it better and do it because you love it. Stay on the track.
Right on, man. Better words couldn't be said. It was truly our pleasure. And we will be back at you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Our interview with Glenn. One of my favorite artists. I really hope you guys have a chance to check him out. I want to thank him for coming in and being part of our first episode here. I also want to thank you for tuning in. So until next time, here's a exclusive from Drywell in the studio with Dark as a Dungeon.
Well, come all you fellas, so young and so fine, and seek out your fortune, dark and dreary mind. It will form as a habit, seep in your soul till the stream of your blood runs as black as a coal, where it's dark as a dungeon and damp as a dew. Danger is double and the pleasures are few, where the rain never falls and the sun never shines. Dark as a dungeon down in the mines. There's many a man that I've seen in my day who lived just to labor his whole life away, like a fiend is dope or a drunkard is wine. A man will have a lust for the lure of mines, where it's dark as a dungeon and damp as a dew. Danger is double and the pleasures are few, where the rain never falls and the sun never shines. It's dark as a dungeon down in the mines. I hope I'm gone and the ages shall roll, my body black turning to coal, and I'll look from the door of my heavenly home and pity the miner who's digging my bones, where it's dark as a dungeon, damp as a dew. Danger is double and the pleasures are few, where the rain never falls and the sun never shines. It's dark as a dungeon down in the mines.
That was really good.